Monsoon fully active in Mumbai. IMD issues red alert of heavy rain for 5 districts of Maharashtra. Orange alert issued for Mumbai for the next 3 days. Vaccination coverage across the country surpasses 41.54 crores. Recovery rate stands at 97.36%, with 36,977 patients recovering during the last 24 hours. BJP slams the opposition for playing politics over COVID pandemic, says that no state or union territory sent any data regarding deaths, specifically due to the shortage of oxygen. Also says that the health is a state subject and that the centre just collects data from the states. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar scheduled to co-chair virtually the 11th ministerial meeting of the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation with Cambodian counterpart today. The meeting will be attended by foreign ministers of the member countries. The festival of EID-UL-AZHA is being celebrated. No mass congregations in Eidgahs and grand mosques in view of the pandemic. The President, Vice President, Prime Minister greet fellow citizens on the festival. The 5th competition of the Tokyo Olympics begins with softball and baseball, as well as football matches have begun today. So the games are officially to commence on July 23. Namaskar and welcome to the news. My name is Mark Lynn. Here's our top story. Maharashtra is receiving heavy rainfall at many places since last night. Mumbai and its suburban areas are witnessing intermittent rainfall since this morning. Heavy rainfall has led to massive waterlogging, also traffic congestions at several parts of Mumbai. The officials have said that as per the latest radar observations from Mumbai, winds in the lower levels, they are westerly, they've been strengthened as well, and these winds will ensure moisture from the Arabian Sea over the city and the adjoining areas, and that requires, that has caused the sustaining of the rainfall activity. So the Met Department has forecast rain in many parts of Konkan, in central Maharashtra, Vidarbha as well, and in many parts of Marathwada. And this is over the next 2 days. Raigad, Ratnagiri, as well as Pune, Kolhapur, Satara districts, they've also been issued a red alert. And this is for 2 days, commencing today and tomorrow, that is. So the orange alert continues in Mumbai, in Thane, and in PALGHAR. In Delhi, India Meteorological Department has said that moderate rainfall is likely to continue during the next 24 hours. The Met Department has predicted light to moderate rainfall instead of heavy rainfall at some places till Thursday. Meanwhile, moderate to severe thunderstorms with lightning is very likely to be taking place at isolated places, and this is over Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. 24 hours is the forecast for. Now, the IMD has issued a yellow alert in the national capital. In Telangana, normal life has been affected because of the incessant rainfall since yesterday. Several areas are waterlogged. Water has entered shops regularly, as well as causing severe problems for the customers who have got drenched, as we can see. Now, the people have also been affected. Fairly widespread to widespread rains are isolated, and isolated heavy to very heavy rainfalls. These are forecast across Telangana. We're talking about July 22 and 23. In view of these predictions, the IMD has issued an orange alert. This is for Telangana and for the next 2 days. Our next story is about COVID updates, and this is from across the country. 41.5 crore vaccine doses have been administered so far nationwide in this vaccination drive. The recovery rate stands at 97.36%. Nearly 37,000 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. A total of 3,90,687 people recovered across the country so far. Over 42,000 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload stands at 4,07,170. Active cases are now 1.30% of the total positive cases. Substantially ramped up testing capacity across the country has resulted in a total of 18,52,140 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. And cumulatively, India has conducted over 44.91 crore tests so far. The weekly positivity rate is at 2.09%. The daily positivity rate is at 2.27%. The daily positivity rate has remained less than 3% for 30 consecutive days. The vaccination drive has been ramped up as well through the availability of more vaccines and advanced visibility of vaccine availability too. This is for the states and union territories, giving them a chance to plan better, streamlining of the vaccination supplies. So, as part of this nationwide vaccination drive, the government has been supporting the states and union territories, providing them with COVID vaccines free of cost, and more than 43.25 crore vaccine doses have been provided to the states and union territories so far. And this is through different kinds of sources, all the sources in fact, and a further 53,38,210 doses are in the pipeline. So of these, the consumption so far, which includes wastage, is 40,36,44,231 doses. So given that, we have now 2.88 crore, or in fact the exact figure is 2,88,73,099 COVID vaccine doses, which are still available with the states and union territories and the private hospitals to be administered. So there's no shortage. In Assam, as many as 5 districts have been declared total containment zones. This is owing to high coronavirus disease positivity rate. The State Disaster Management Authority stated that these districts are Jorhat, Golaghat, Sonitpur, Biswanath and Lakhimpur. And their complete curfew is in place in these districts because it was imposed from yesterday at 5 a.m. and is going to continue till further orders. 27 districts have been marked as showing some improvement because there has been a decline in the positivity rate. But according to the notification, the regions with moderate and declining positivity rates have been permitted with certain curfew relaxations. The Bharatiya Janata Party slammed the opposition, including the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party, for playing politics over COVID. Addressing a press conference in New Delhi, the spokesperson SAMBIT PATRA reiterated the government's stand over the death due to oxygen shortage. He said that during the second wave, because the onus was on the states to report such casualties, and Arvind Kejriwal-led Delhi has not submitted any such report. In fact, they told the Supreme Court that no person had died due to a shortage of oxygen, but otherwise they are leveling baseless allegations.
ऑक्सीजन शॉर्टेज के कारण इनकी मृत्यु नहीं हुई है, ये अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सरकार लिखित में अपनी कमेटी की रिपोर्ट को दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट को सबमिट करती है। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, कल आप इस पे सवाल पूछ रहे थे, मनीष सिसोदिया जी पूछ रहे थे, आप बताइए क्या आपकी सरकार ने जो केंद्र को आंकड़े दिए हैं उसमें से एक भी मरीज की मृत्यु ऑक्सीजन शॉर्टेज के कारण हुआ है, ऐसा लिख के दिया है क्या? टीवी में कुछ और टीवी के बाहर कुछ, ये राजनीति रुकनी चाहिए।
And Patra also said that even Congress-ruled states have submitted that there are no deaths because of oxygen shortage. Rahul Gandhi too is spreading falsehood, is what the BJP spokesperson said. He called the former Congress president a Twitter troll.
आपकी महाराष्ट्र की सरकार, आपकी छत्तीसगढ़ की सरकार जब ये खुद मान रही हैं कि यहां ऑक्सीजन की शॉर्टेज के कारण डेथ नहीं हुआ, आप ट्वीट करके पूरे देश में भ्रम फैला रहे हैं। और आज मैं मीडिया से भी कहूंगा कि ये लोग तो इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड कि ये लोग तो झूठ बोलेंगे, भ्रम फैलाएंगे, अफरा तफरी का माहौल, कंफ्यूजन का माहौल बनाने की चेष्टा देश में करेंगे। मगर हाथ जोड़ के चतुर्थ स्तंभ मीडिया से भी ये निवेदन है कि आप इन लोगों को एक्सपोज करिए, इनसे सवाल पूछिए आप राहुल गांधी से, सवाल पूछिए आप अरविंद केजरीवाल जी से कि आप अपने अपने हाईकोर्ट में तो कुछ कहते हैं मगर आके टीवी के सामने और ट्विटर में कुछ और कहते हैं। आप इस प्रकार के झूठ के साथ क्यों आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, यह सवाल मीडिया उनसे पूछे।
The BJP spokesperson also asserted that the Prime Minister had called a meeting on COVID yesterday and the AAP and Congress must clarify why they didn't attend that meeting when they are so concerned about this issue.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने थर्ड वेव की प्रिपरेशन के लिए बुलाया। हम जानना चाहते हैं, देश जानना चाहता है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी और आम आदमी पार्टी उससे नदारद क्यों रही। Why was the Congress party and the Aam Aadmi party absent from the meeting which was called regarding the preparation of third wave by the Honorable Prime Minister of India? आप मीटिंग में जाएंगे नहीं और बाद में आप लोग कहेंगे कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें बताया नहीं, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें चेताया नहीं। आप राजनीति करते हैं। आम आदमी पार्टी ने कहा कि हम कोविड के बारे में सुनना नहीं चाहते हैं।
The External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will today co-chair the 11th Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Ministerial Meeting, and he'll do so with his Cambodian counterpart, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Prak Soknon. This will happen virtually, and the meeting will also be attended by other foreign ministers from the Mekong countries. These include Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam. The foreign ministers will review the progress made on cooperation since the 10th meeting, which took place in Bangkok in August of 2019. They'll also chart out the future direction of this grouping, and the aim is to strengthen and expand efforts against COVID-19. The ministers are expected to exchange views on regional and international issues of common interest and concern as well. The Bombay High Court has given its verdict. It will give its verdict tomorrow in pleas filed by the former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil DESHMUKH seeking to quash the CBI FIR against him. A petition was filed by DESHMUKH seeking to quash the FIR against him by the Central Bureau of Investigation. It has alleged corruption in a letter written by the former Police Commissioner Parambir Singh to the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. After the letter was filed, mentioning instances of DESHMUKH directing dismissed Assistant Police Inspector Sachin Waze to collect 100 crore rupees from bars and restaurants every month, a public interest litigation was filed before the High Court, in which another bench of the High Court directed the CBI to conduct a preliminary inquiry against DESHMUKH, which subsequently led to the registration of this FIR. The other petition before the same bench is filed through the Additional Chief Secretary of the Home Department seeking to delete 2 unnumbered paragraphs in the FIR. The FIR mentions the reinstatement of Waje, an accused in the custodial death of a 22-year-old Khwaja Yunus. This happened in 2008, and the transfer of some other police officers. DESHMUKH is booked under Section 120B, which is called criminal conspiracy, and this is of the Indian Penal Code, and Section 7, which is public servant taking gratification other than legal remuneration in respect of an official act. This is Prevention of Corruption Act. Now, moving on then to our next story, the new education policy. It's going to enable India to reap demographic dividend, and the inaugural session of the World University Summit was organized by the O.P. Jindal Global University. It happened today, and addressing that event, the Vice President of India, M. Venkaiah Naidu, said that online education cannot be a substitute for the conventional classroom. He said that we need to develop a hybrid model which combines the both for the future.
Virtual education cannot be substitute for conventional classroom teaching and learning. Therefore, in the near future, we need to explore the possibility of a hybrid teaching model by combining the best practice of offline and online education to get the optimum learning outcomes, a model which the learner and the teacher would find both interactive and interesting. It should provide students with a knowledge base that prepares them to learn independently and creatively. Through proactive critical thinking, learners should be molded into readers in their chosen fields so that eventually they evolve into drivers of social change.
Well, delivering the keynote address at the World University Summit, the Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that the new education policy will facilitate the integration of education with skills. It will also enable India to reap the demographic dividend.
COVID-19 pandemic, we have ushered in an era of digital learning. The Board of Pedagogy is going to stay giving away to hybrid method of learning and knowledge dissemination. Our future planning, therefore, needs to fill a digital divide that currently prevails. With the advent of National Education Technology Forum, we will have the requisite technological boost to upgrade our pedagogy and learning outcomes. It will act as a force multiplier.
Well, the Eid-UL-AZHA is being celebrated across the country today, and it's going to be done. It's happening with religious fervor and solemnity, but of course with COVID appropriate behavior. In most places, mass congregations and Eidgahs and grand mosques are not taking place because of the pandemic, and several religious leaders and scholars too have appealed to people to celebrate the festival in accordance with the guidelines issued by the government. The Union Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi offered Eid-ul-Azha prayers at his home, keeping in view the corona protocols. He prayed for health and safety of people of India and the entire world.
सभी देशवासियों को और पूरी दुनिया के लोगों को ईद-उल-अज़हा की बकरीद की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद। और आपको मालूम है कि इस वक्त जो कोरोना पैंडेमिक से पूरी दुनिया दो चार है, उससे वो चुनौतियां सामने हैं, इसलिए हिफाजत के साथ इबादत को पूरी दुनिया ने जो है वो तरजीह दी है। हमने भी घर पे ही नमाज अपने अदा की और दुआ की कि इस कोरोना पैंडेमिक से हमारे देश के लोगों को, पूरी दुनिया के आलम इंसानियत को निजात मिले। एक कुर्बानी का त्यौहार है, एक संकल्प का त्यौहार है, और साथ ही साथ जो गरीब हैं, जो कमज़ोर तबके हैं, उनको जो है वो मदद करने का है।
And some COVID-related updates from across the world. A new COVID health pass has come into effect in France amid the surge of new infections there. From today, people need proof of vaccination, a negative test, or recent recovery from COVID to enter museums and cinemas. Lawmakers will debate whether to extend this use of these protocols in August for the entry into cafes as well as into restaurants and shopping malls. Well, this comes a day after the country's health minister announced 18,000 new infections in just 24 hours. South Korea reported a daily record of 1,784 coronavirus cases for Tuesday, and that broke the mark which was set last week. The country is now grappling with the Delta variant, and these outbreaks are quite bad for them. Genetic analysis of 2,381 infections last week found that nearly 40% were the Delta variant. So further, over half of the total 1,741 Delta variant cases since December were diagnosed last week. Despite the record number of cases, South Korea has seen no significant increase in hospitalizations or deaths, with a mortality rate of 1.13% and the number of severe cases at 214 as of Tuesday. The country's 52 million people, of them 32% have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine, and the government aims to vaccinate 70% by September. Well, here's an update globally about COVID. The figures as they come in across the world. 19 crore 23 lakh people worldwide have contracted this virus from the beginning. COVID vaccines, the COVID virus, and the number of recoveries stands at 17 crore 50 lakh. So quite a high recovery rate. The deadly virus has, however, claimed the lives of over 41 lakh people worldwide, over 4 million people worldwide, for over 41 lakh 35,000 in fact. And we know that the US has been impacted the worst from the beginning, and as many as 3.50 crore people have been infected with the virus there. The virus has claimed the lives of more than 6,25,000 people in the US itself. Softball has returned to the Olympics for the first time since 2008, and action at the delayed 2020 Olympic Games got underway in Fukushima, with the host Japan beating Australia 8-1 in their opening softball fixture. Japan won gold when softball was last used in the Olympics, was last played at the Olympics, and that was in Beijing in 2008. And they began with a convincing 8-1 victory in a match which was held 2 days before the opening ceremony. The match took place at the empty Azuma Baseball Stadium, and the games begin amid widespread opposition in the country, with COVID-19 cases rising. Brisbane will host the 2032 Olympics after the International Olympic Committee approved the recommendation of its executive board. Brisbane, where a crowd had gathered to watch the announcement on big screens, became the third Australian city to get the Games after Melbourne in 1956 and Sydney in 2000. Queensland's Gold Coast hosted the 2018 Commonwealth Games, and Australia will become only the second country after the United States to host the Summer Games at 3 different cities. The United Nations Postal Administration, the UNPA, has issued Sport for Peace stamps and souvenir sheets to mark the start of the Summer Olympics Tokyo 2020. The UNPA stamps for Tokyo 2020 Olympics originally were scheduled to be issued in 2020, but they were postponed because of the pandemic. In a statement, the UNPA said, I quote that statement, "One of the objectives of this great international sporting event is to promote peace, respect, mutual understanding and goodwill, goals it shares with the United Nations," unquote. The Sport for Peace issue, this includes 21 stamps, so 3 stamps are in separate souvenir sheets and 1 for each UN post office. The other 18, they are in 6 panes of 8, 2 for each post office. Each pane includes 3 different sentiments. PV Sindhu remains a strong contender at the Tokyo Olympics, along with the entire badminton squad which is representing India. But in this report, we are going to look at, which is taking place 2 days before the Olympics, we are going to look at the badminton contingent that will represent India in the upcoming Tokyo Olympics.
PV Sindhu, women's singles. Sindhu arrives in Tokyo as the reigning world champion and 2016 Olympic silver medalist. In the absence of Rio Game champion Carolina Marin of Spain, Sindhu should be one of the strongest favorites in Tokyo. However, her form since winning the 2009 world title has left much to be desired. She has not won a single title since then. PRANEETH, men's singles. Saved by this performance in the Swiss Open, Praneeth just about managed to qualify to Tokyo on the basis of his ranking. After all, he did not register a single victory in 6 matches across 4 tournaments in 2020. To now expect him to punch above his seeding of 13 to get to the semi-finals would be unfair. He should advance from the preliminary league stage, but could then run into 8th seed Kalong in the elimination round. Should Praneeth make the quarterfinals, top seed Kento Momota could be waiting. SATWIKSAIRAJ, Ranki Reddy and CHIRAG Shetty in men's doubles. The Indian pair, the first to break into the top 10 of the world rankings, made impressive strides in the last completed season. However, the one-year postponement of games affected Satvik and CHIRAG in different ways. They faced formidable opposition in the preliminary league stage, being placed in Group A with world number 1 Indonesian pair, with only 2 teams advancing to the quarterfinals. The Indians will have to win at least 2 matches. Ben Lane and Sean Wendy, the world number 18 pair, looks beatable, But Satvik and Chirag will have to defeat one of the two higher seeded duos in the group as well to advance. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's all we have for you in this news bulletin. Thank you very much for your time. Namaskar.